What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a little bit since I've done a video, but I decided the other day I needed some me time. I need to go out, spend some time alone with my camera, getting some pictures and some footage and stuff, and putting together one of these just freestyle travel videos. I was gonna go run around, possibly get lost in the woods for you guys, because for some reason you guys tend to enjoy those types of videos. Unfortunately, it was the first day of deer season here in the great state of West Virginia, and I am a stupid accident prone person. So I decided against that. Instead, I just jumped in my car and drove around for a couple hours. Luckily, West Virginia is one of those places where if you travel around for a couple hours and you know your history, you can find some really, really interesting things. So let's get right into it. So my day began in Grafton, West Virginia. That's in Taylor County, West Virginia. Grafton isn't as significant of a town as it once was, unfortunately. It really used to be a major hub town on the B&O Railroad. Not so much anymore, but it still has a lot of amazing things in it. For example, it is the original home, the first place where Mother's Day was celebrated. Oddly enough, right up the road in Fairmont, West Virginia, is where Father's Day was unofficially first celebrated. And that, of course, is linked in with the Monongah mine disaster. It's also the home of some iconic buildings that, if you have played Fallout 76, you might have noticed. These include the Willard Hotel, the B&O building, and the Grafton Post Office. So after running around in Grafton for a little bit and getting some really good pictures, I decided to see what else was in the area that I could go to. And oddly enough, right down the road is Philippi, West Virginia, home of the Philippi Covered Bridge. So the Philippi Covered Bridge is actually kind of a story of two bridges. You have the Philippi Covered Bridge and you have the Barracksville Covered Bridge. Both were designed and built by an individual named Lemuel Chenoweth. Both utilize what is known as the Burr Truss, and both of them, despite being built before the American Civil War and all the conflicts and battles that happened in West Virginia, during which dozens of bridges and train bridges were destroyed just for strategic benefit, both actually survived the Civil War unscathed. The story goes about Lemuel Chenoweth that whenever he was pitching his idea for the Philippi Covered Bridge, that he went to Richmond with a model of the bridge he planned on building in Philippi. And he took it in, and at that point he wasn't a super well-known designer or builder. At that point he had built some barns, he had built some churches, and he had primarily built furniture. He had never done that large of a civil engineering project before, so he built this model with this Burr Truss built into this model. And when other engineers and designers were kind of getting more attention from government officials than he was, as the story goes, he went and he got two chairs and he put them back to back, and he put his model bridge on top of it, and he just climbed up on top of the bridge and started doing some hardcore flexing, like challenging other people that had built models and brought models like can you do this with yours? Also, Philippi is the home of one of the first land skirmishes of the American Civil War. Now, my last stop of the day was in the town of Weston, West Virginia. And I went to the one place in Weston that probably most of you are interested in. That's right, the American Glass Museum. Mostly because the Trans-Alleghenies closed on Mondays. I forgot to look it up, but I went to the American Glass Museum in Weston. Actually, I was driving down the street, heading towards the Trans-Allegheny when I saw the big mural on the side. And this museum is just rows and rows and rows of just glass and china. And it was really interesting to see some of those companies that I had grown up around or that I had seen in, local communities growing up in Wetzel County represented up with, right alongside of some other very well-known, very prestigious glass companies, and seeing that they were pretty much right on par with some of these other companies. It was definitely a unique experience going to this museum. It's not something that I'm super interested in or something that I'm passionate about, but just seeing some of these West Virginia industries being represented up there with companies from Pennsylvania and Ohio, much larger, much more large-scale productions, and just the long history of glass. Until next time, don't forget to stay wild and stay wonderful, and I will talk to you in the next one.